welcome back to the channel. My name is Sqee Coldmoney, and today we're going to tackle ranking all of Nintendo's systems. Now, this is a tough one because obviously kind of every Nintendo console has been pretty solid. There's been a little up and down, but again, mainly every console in here is solid, so it's going to be pretty tough and pretty close between mostly all of them. So let's go ahead and hop into it. So we'll go ahead and start from the oldest console possible, and that is going to be the NES. Now, this came out in '85, again, Nintendo's first system. And just a heads up, I'm not counting like random systems they did in between. Like, I'm just doing the main flagship ones here. So again, we'll go ahead and start off with the oldest here. Now, this is tough because this is my first gaming console ever, so I am a little biased, and obviously game-wise, we're looking at games like the first 3 Mario Brothers, the first 2 Zeldas, Ninja Gaiden. Like, there's just so many classics on this console that, for the main part, have aged well. Now, granted, 80% of the library of this games for these consoles, for this console specifically, is pretty offbeat and kind of crappy again, but those main titles are just so amazing. So I'm stuck between S and A. I think I'm going to put it in A for now, and maybe we could adjust it later, but again, that is well deserving at least. Now, next up, the next console they put out is the Super Nintendo, and this basically just elevated everything to the next level, going from 8-bit to 16-bit. And so this is really tough too, because all of those big series continued onto the system, looking at Mario, Zelda, Kirby. We got the Donkey Kongs on this one that are just amazing. And obviously, you know, we got a little better controller, more buttons, and all in all, just a more powerful and bigger system. So this is tough. I put more time in my life in the NES, but honestly, I think the Super Nintendo is better in the sense that, again, everything from Zelda to Mario, all those benefited so much from the hardware in this console that I think this is deserving of S tier. Now, next up is, you know what, this is so tough. The N64. This is by far my favorite Nintendo console. I know a lot of people hate the controllers, and some of the games are hard to go back to because of the graphics, you know, being the first like 3D console. But my God, James Bond, Zeldas, Mario's, you know, you got Smash Bros. And Mario Kart on this, like, so many amazing games. But relatively speaking, all around, I think it's going to go in the A tier. GameCube, now, a lot of people obviously love this, and for great reasons. I mean, Smash Bros. Was the best it's ever been on this. Mario Kart was amazing on this, and a lot of sports games were really good too. And, you know, obviously you have Mario Sunshine, and, you know, all the sports ones really grew in this, you know, from Mario Tennis to Mario Baseball, soccer. Again, a lot of great ones on here, but again, this is a little bit of a personalized list, so I'm going to put this in B tier. And again, that's just because, I don't know, the older 90s Nintendos have so much more meaning to me, even though I did grow up playing the GameCube. Alright, and next up we have the Wii, a very divisive console. You know, again, I was about 12 years old or so when this came out, so obviously, you know, it was a great time for gaming, and it was a lot of fun, especially some games. I mean, I could play Wii Sports for hours. I will whoop your ass in bowling. But, again, a lot of the, I don't know, around the motion controls, it's not as easy. Like, going back to it today, you can't just sit down and relax. Like, you have to be standing up. You can't, I don't know, a lot of the games didn't age well from it, I'd say, at least. Especially the Zelda on this console. I hated it. Now, for that reason, for, again, going back and playing nowadays and how it's aged, I'm going to have to put it in the C tier. And I don't know if you've noticed as well, there's no F tier on this list. I mean, no Nintendo console is that bad. Like, let's be real. They're all amazing consoles. It's just, you know, dividing this up, obviously there's going to be some differences. Next up is the Wii U. Now, I did have this console as well, and some might say this was worse than the Wii looking back, but personally, having the option of, you know, actually having a controller and not having to do all the motion controls, I think this is a little better than the Wii. I mean, again, you have a lot of those great games from that era still. I mean, Wind Waker remake on this, the Mario Karts. I mean, a lot of great games were on this console. It was just very divisive in the sense that, it was a big, bulky console, and there's a lot of downsides to it, but you got like retro arcade shops on this. I mean, me personally, I remember staying home from school sick, and I had Black Ops 2 on 3 different consoles, including this, and I'd sit in bed and I'd play, the campaign on Black Ops 2 in my bed. Like, how awesome is that? So, it's like, does it deserve to be on the same level as GameCube? No, but it's a little bit above the Wii. So, I'm going to have to stick it in B. I think it's more of like a B minus, C plus. Again, I think it's not as good as the GameCube, but it is better than the Wii. And lastly, we have the Switch. Now, this is the only Nintendo console I don't own or haven't owned, but I have played it plenty on my friends' consoles. Now, I mean, I can't talk about this console without talking about the Zelda. It is absolutely mind-blowing on this console. It's the open world, the graphics, like, this thing really took the Wii U, what it should have been, and moved it up to that next level. So it's definitely better than the Wii U and the Wii. I'd say it's about tied with the GameCube. I don't think it's on A tier level. I know people may disagree, but again, that's because I personally don't own one and I haven't played the whole library of games on it. So again, a little subjective. So I'd say it still is on the B tier. It doesn't hit that A tier. And now that I'm looking at the list, I mean, there is no D tier ones. I mean, none of them are that bad. But now, do I need to change anything? Because my heart wants to tell me that the NES and the N64 both belong in S tier, but I know I can't have everything there. So, what I think I'm going to do, this is tough. I'm going to move the N64 up to S tier, and I'm going to move the GameCube up to A tier. As much love as I have for the NES, I just don't think it's as good as the Super Nintendo or the N64. When we're looking at hardware limitations, graphics, controller, like, obviously amazing games, it all started there, but does it deserve to be with these two? I don't think so. And let's see, I think B tier is pretty good, the Wii U and the Switch, and C for the Wii. I mean, I think this is pretty fair. If we had like something like the Famicom or something like that, I'd probably put it in the D tier. But again, I stick to the flagship US releases for this list. So I think that is going to be my final list here. I mean, this is fun. I mean, if you guys want to see, I would love to also do a ranking of all their handheld consoles too, because, I mean, God, there's probably more handhelds than consoles. I mean, if we're looking at Game Boys, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advances, the 10,000 versions of the DS they've released. So, yeah, I think this is my final list, and that's going to do it for today's video. Please let me know down below your comments about where you would rank everything. Again, I know my Wii U, Switch, and Wii one are probably where the arguments would come in here. Again, I think the S and A tier are pretty set in stone there. I mean, they could switch a little bit, but I think that's pretty good. I know these ones probably might get people going a little bit, but yeah, let me know down below. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.